All right, let's talk about something huge. If you've ever looked at the US market and just thought about the sheer scale of the opportunity there, well, this is for you. We're going to break down what it really takes to not just get your foot in the door, but to hit that kind of massive explosive growth that really defines the American dream for businesses. So let's dive right into the mindset and the playbook for American-style growth. This quote right here, it's everything. It's the philosophy you absolutely have to adopt, because in the American market, the potential for success is often just so much bigger than what you might be used to. It's not just about steady growth, it's about growing without a ceiling in sight. Now, I know that sounds like a big, lofty idea, so let's ground it in a real-world case. Picture this, a Danish company that makes equipment for the fishing industry. They decided to take the leap and enter the US market back in 2022. Now, their global revenue was pretty modest, even by Danish standards. So, what do you think happened next? This happened, and it just perfectly illustrates the point. In only the first quarter of 2023, their brand new US subsidiary brought in more revenue than the entire parent company did in all of 2022. I mean, think about that. That isn't just growth, that's a complete game changer for the whole business. And it all started with a change in how they thought about things. That incredible success brings us to the first, most crucial element, adopting a new mindset. And listen, this isn't about tweaking a few business processes here and there. No, it's a fundamental shift in philosophy, a concept you can sum up in 3 simple, powerful words: grow or die. That phrase might sound a little harsh, maybe a bit dramatic, but it perfectly captures the American business environment. Standing still, or stagnation, is seen as moving backward. While just maintaining the status quo might work fine in Europe, in the US, it just means someone else is about to come along, do it better, and snatch up your market share. Okay, so what's really interesting here is how this slide breaks down that cultural difference. The European sensibility, right? It often focuses on maintaining what you have, the status quo, sustainability, building up that generational wealth. But the American approach, it's all about being opportunistic. It's not just about sustaining, it's about thriving. And very often, it involves planning for an exit or an IPO from pretty early on. This bullish attitude is absolutely key, and all that really means is being aggressive, optimistic, and just expecting good results. Taking those calculated risks isn't just for scrappy startups, it's standard operating procedure for well-established companies too. Being opportunistic isn't just a nice to have, it's pretty much a requirement for survival and to really truly thrive in this market. So, how do you actually translate that mindset into action? Well, you need a playbook. So let's walk through the 3 essential pillars for putting this American-style growth strategy into practice. Our playbook has 3 core steps. First, be opportunistic. Second, and this is the one that might make you pause for a second, contemplate an exit. And third, embrace scale on a level you've probably never even considered. Let's start by digging into that second point, because it can feel a little counterintuitive. This is the question that trips up a lot of people. It seems like a total contradiction, doesn't it? How can planning to sell your company or take it public actually fuel its growth? Isn't that just admitting defeat before you even start? Well, no, not at all. So here's the secret. An exit strategy is really a tool for empowerment. Knowing you have a solid plan B, a way to cash out successfully, it actually lowers the perceived risk of taking those big, bold leaps. It can also create a massive payday for the parent company. And what's more, American buyers see immense value in a US company with European ties, which makes your subsidiary a really attractive asset down the line. Okay, let's talk about that third pillar, because this is where that whole sky's the limit idea really comes into play. You just have to think bigger. What you might consider a large market in Europe is often just a starting point in the US. You have to embrace scale. And here's why. You're not just entering one country. You're getting access to a single, massive capitalistic economy of 50 states. From there, expansion into Canada and Mexico becomes so much simpler. You might even find demand is so high that you need to open US-based manufacturing. And as we saw with our Danish example, it is completely possible for your US entity to quickly outperform your entire parent company. So we've covered the mindset, and we've covered the playbook. Now for the final, and honestly the most important part, turning all that potential into actual power. How do you take action? I love this quote from an old finance professor. We always hear that knowledge is power, but he adds one crucial word, potential. Just knowing all this stuff is only the first step. It's just latent energy, really, waiting to be used. And then you have this fantastic quote from David Lee Roth, which just lays out the 3 types of people in the business world, plain and simple. The huge difference between them isn't what they know, it's what they do with what they know. You really don't want to be in that second or third category. And really, it all comes down to this. Actual power comes from action. Education isn't going to write the contract for you. Knowledge won't set up the transatlantic management system. People taking actionable steps, they do. You can be the best planner in the world, but if you don't execute, you go absolutely nowhere. And that brings us right to the end with a question for you. You now have the knowledge, the potential power. So what are you going to do with it? What is the very first, small, actionable step you're going to take to turn all that potential into reality?